On this week's episode of Saints Happy Hour podcast, me and Kevin are going to explain to the salary cap nerds how Mickey Loomis wins again because the cap number has exploded for 2024, and we're going to laugh at them. Thomas, hit that intro.
Welcome to the award-winning Saints Happy Hour podcast. Seriously, this podcast has won awards. American standards are dropping every day. The show features Ralph, the best host in the world, who can barely pronounce his own name, much less anyone else's.
Marcus Marquez Callaway.
Dave is that dude who loves taking bathroom breaks. He's mad about almost anything, so make sure to lower your volume when he speaks.
Put that freaking clown meme back up that I made. Jesus Christ.
Andrew has sources, watches tapes, and knows football. He rarely shows up on time and wants to commit crimes to help the Saints win.
Sean Payton would have done illegal things. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because you know it's true.
Oh, and there's also Kevin, who is great at doing mock drafts, but struggles to actually watch Saints games or have a functioning relationship.
Budrich wants to know how the doctor's doing.
That ended.
Anyway, grab a drink, sit back, and enjoy the insanity.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, whether you found us on YouTube or you find us the audio-only version, rate us, review us, subscribe, like the podcast, go to saintshappyhour.com, become a patron. Thanks to the 301 people who are currently patrons. We love you guys. Join our community. It's amazing. I got Kevin with me. I got Thomas running the show back in Poland. Kevin, I didn't play the breaking news siren for this one, but I could have. And you know what it would have been? I would tell you this. Mickey Loomis, listen to me now, Cap Nerds. Mickey Loomis, he's defeated you. He has defeated you. The Saints, Loomis math, Cap magic, the show goes on. It's never stopping. And today, the NFL announced, oh, by the way, all you Cap Nerds, we know that you projected it at $243 million for the 2024 season. Well, you're wrong. It's $255 million of salary cap. It's up because of more TV money. It's 30 million more than last year. Record breaking, in fact. So what does that mean for the Saints? Oh, by the way, they were going to be $83 million on it. They lumped basically $10 million off of what they needed, and they've already started to redo deals as they want to do. They redid Eric McCoy. They redid
David Carr. Derek Carr.
They redid.
God damn it.
Derek.
I'm so happy.
They redid Derek Carr. They're going to have to redo a few more. But Kevin, that extra $10 million of cap space, like it's big in a way in that the Saints would have probably had to do one more redone deal that they would have probably been like, I don't know, like Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Ranch, like one, they would have had to do like one more where you'd be like, I don't know about that. Now, like if they want to, they can get to 20 million under like that. Like this is, I forgot who said it on Twitter. I think it was either Nick Underhill. He said it or somebody retweeted it and I saw it on the timeline. This is like Kai Harley. It's like getting to play salary cap Madden on rookie level. Like this is like Mickey Loomis and Kai Harley can probably do the salary cap redos now from the golf course. Maybe they see Dave like the fourth hole, you know, they're like, what's going on, Dave? Kai's not still GM. How's the golf game? And oh, by the way, we're going to do some salary cap stuff. But Kevin, am I right to say Mickey Loomis has won? The nerds are defeated, at least for the salary cap.
I tell you what. Let me just quote some smart people here. A couple fellows by the name of Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside. Come inside. Okay. I wanted to get that part out first.
That's right.
I'm not calling it. I'm not like Dave, who's that fellow on Twitter? Dave Weigel. I've seen enough. I'm not ready to do that yet. But the fact that yesterday the Saints were 82, what did you say?
82. That's right.
82 million over the cap. And as of right now, when we're recording this, they are currently just over $40 million over the cap.
That's
so
right.
It's been more than sliced in half already.
That's right.
What do you want? Like, how much more do people have to understand? Like the Bears, the Bleacher Report account for the Bears was taking a shot at the Saints saying, even with the adjustment, the Saints are still 40 over the cap. Motherfucker, yesterday, literally yesterday, 82 million over the cap. Right now, 40 million over the cap.
I refuse to take crap from Bears fans. Okay, Bears, you haven't won a playoff game since I believe George W. Bush was president. All right, you barely spend to the floor of the cap. So I'm not going to take crap from you. I'll take crap from teams that win. I'll be like, yeah, I kind of got to take that. Y'all are winning, so I'll maybe shut my mouth. Not from you, Bears fans. No. Absolutely, positively not.
So, I'm not worried about it. Like after how many years of people constantly saying the bill was going to come due, or the check was going to come, or the rent was due, or some other stupid freaking platitude. I'm trying to limit how many times I drop an F-bomb. And it never really hitting. Once again, circumstance and Mickey and Kai working some deals, and they're going to keep on doing it. Now, again, right now, this is the proving Ralph right portion of Saints management. Now, I really want to say it. These guys need to adapt and adopt the Kevin method of Saints management. And that is nail this goddamn draft coming up and walk into training camp saying, oh, you guys thought the O-line was a problem? Not anymore. You guys thought that we were one injury away from having problems on the defensive line? Not anymore. You guys thought is probably gone. Oh, that's a problem. No, it's not. They can address this shit in the draft. They can address some shit in free agency. And again, just make the team look good and improve the team around Derek Carr. Jesus, I'm so amped. I'm screwing this cat's name up. Well, you make the team better around Derek Carr, and they've already renegotiated the thing. So guess what? He ain't going anywhere this year, and he's probably not going anywhere next year. So that means we got to ride with this guy and his military vest for at least another 2 years.
Well, here's the thing with the cap. I want to say one more thing about the cap nerds, and then I want to get to Derek Carr, because I think the cap going up is a good jumping off point for Derek Carr. The Saints renegotiated today. But my thing with, a lot of Saints media are like, I don't really like talking about the cap because it seems like I'm defending the Saints and they haven't been winning, and I don't want to defend it. But I'm always like, I'm yelling at the cap people. I'm like, if you want to talk about the draft and you want to talk about trading up and you want to talk about the crummy drafts that the Saints have had and the bad evaluations they have there, I'll discuss that with you. I'll agree with you. But as long as you're going to blame it all on the cap, I'm going to point at you because you're 100% wrong. Now, that aside, the Derek Carr thing I think is interesting, Kevin, because you mentioned, look, they redid him, and he's pretty much locked onto this roster now for at least 2 years, like this year and next year, and maybe even they can get out of it in 2026. But my point to them, they're like, oh my God, now they got to pay him $50 million in 2025, or it's a cap bomb. But here's the thing, Kevin, with the cap going up, guess what? $50 million is not going to be the high-end quarterback anymore. Like Derek Carr, he's the 13th highest paid quarterback now. Like Jordan Love is going to get paid. Goff is going to get paid. Lawrence is going to get paid in Jacksonville. Like you're going to have one of these quarterbacks going to get 60
okay, I tell you what.
million.
Let's look at who currently is getting paid more than Derek Carr, average per year Aaron Rodgers. Daniel Jones. Dak Prescott. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Stafford. Okay. Josh Allen and Mahomes. Hey, all right, great. Deshaun Watson?
No.
Kyler
Not
Murray?
even-
Russell Wilson? Nope. Jalen Hurts?
Yeah.
The jury is out on Jalen Hurts. We
That's
don't know, is he really great or did he really regress to the mean and this is really what he's going to be? Who knows? MVP Lamar Jackson, justifiable. Justin Herbert, they're just high on him, I guess. And then Joe Burrow. So those are the guys that are ahead of Derek Carr in pay. I mean, and I'm looking right below Derek Carr. You got Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Geno. Yeah, Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff are the ones that are close-ish to Derek Carr. Like Geno is like $12 million per year.
I mean, the hardest thing with the Derek Carr, he's in the tier of quarterbacks that's like, he's okay, but he's okay, but we don't really like him, and we want to have better.
Yeah,
but we don't know where we can find better, right? If there was an easy path to get a better quarterback than Derek Carr, the Saints wouldn't be paying him $150 million over 4 years. So that's like it's in that weird, uncomfortable tier that he's in, and he's always going to be that way. Like, but if you get a good offensive coordinator, like he could bump up a little bit higher or fall down and go a little bit lower. So he's always in that weird tier of like, man, I guess it's like the girlfriend that like you're like, I might have to marry her. I'm getting older. I like her. I want better.
Before this regular season started, I ranked. And I didn't put this, I don't think I put this on Twitter. I might have, who knows. I ranked all the quarterbacks, like in terms of tiers, S tier, A tier, B tier, but I wrote it all down. And I had Derek Carr in the B tier. Now, the way Derek Carr played throughout the year, he was really the C tier. Toward now, maybe the last 4 games, he was playing like
he got to the bottom of the B tier.
But I think I would probably go into, if I had to redo it right now, I'd probably put Derek Carr in the C tier and say he can play well enough to be a B tier quarterback. You can win. You can win with a B tier quarterback. You can. I know everybody says, "Oh, it's got to be a superstar. It's got to be a superstar."
No.
You don't need to be a superstar to make it to the Super Bowl. You don't need to be a superstar to win the Super Bowl. You don't.
But you got to draft. You got to have
not like Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford was not
A tier,
S tier, or A tier. I mean, actually, S tier is like reserved for just like 1 or 2 people tops. But he wasn't A tier when the Rams won it. He wasn't. He was really good, but he wasn't A tier. Eli Manning, when he won 2, he wasn't A tier.
He wasn't B.
He was B tier, maybe.
Eli, that second Super Bowl run, he was unconscious in the playoffs. But to my point, Kevin, and then we'll get to the other things I want to talk about with Derek Carr is, it comes down to this: quarterback, coach, draft. And if you want to win big, you got to be probably elite at 2 of the 3. Either pick whichever 2 you want to be elite at, and you could probably win a championship, I would argue, if you're just average to above average on the other one. The thing is with the Saints right now, they haven't been drafting good. Their strategy's terrible. They still are acting like it's 2020, 2019, where their roster's loaded and they're drafting 4 guys a year, 5 guys a year instead of the 10 that they need. Derek Carr, we just discussed him. Dennis Allen, we're not going to get into him on this podcast, but he ain't an elite coach. He might not even be good. So that's the struggle.
As a head coach.
As a defensive coordinator, he's incredible. And like, if they could get him back to having the talent, if they could get Dennis Allen a pass rush, they could be really good. But again, that's not what we're here to discuss today. The other topic I wanted to discuss today is Jameis Winston.
Yep.
Is he going to be a Saint? I don't think he is. Last year they kept him because it was cheaper to keep him on the cap than off. And they were like, hey, Jameis, we like you. We'll keep you. But Kevin, this year, I just can't, when you combine the fact of him just making a team decision and just, taking a dump all over Dennis Allen's authority, when you combine that with fair or not, in every moment the Saints needed him this year, and he played against Green Bay, he played against Minnesota, he played against Detroit. In every moment where the Saints needed him, and he had a chance to win all three of those games, Jameis Winston had the ball with the Saints offense down one score, and he had a chance to lead them down and get a win. He was 0 for 3. Now, I know the Jameis fans will say, oh, you need to have tactics and this and that. But Kevin, for a backup quarterback, that's what I judge you on. If Jameis had even come through in one of those games, the Saints make the playoffs, everything's different. And me and you are probably here being like, man, you can't get rid of Jameis. Derek Carr, those 3 games that he went out of, Jameis won you 2, and you went 11-6 instead of 9-8.
If Jameis and the Saints hold on against the Packers, that's all he had to do. That was it. It was a 17-point lead, right?
Yeah, but now
and the team collectively couldn't hang on to it.
But now, Kevin, when I look at it and I look at Jameis, I'm like, you couldn't hold on the lead against the Packers. You couldn't come back against Detroit when you had the ball down a score. You couldn't do it against Minnesota. You had the ball down a score. You could have won. To me, I look at Jameis and I'm like, you're just not the same guy that you were in 2021 before the knee injury. And I don't know that there's this giant talent gap between him and whatever Jake Haener could be as a backup. So if the Saints move on, I'm not gonna crush them.
I will not. I'm not. Listen, you've been eating some paint chips today or something. Running around under some power lines, maybe, because I'm not going to come out here and tell you that is the talent gap really that big between Jake Haener and Jameis Winston. Look, we've seen Jameis Winston has played full games in the NFL. What you're getting out of him, and Jake Haener is a giant unknown, just a huge unknown. Aside from Zoolander poses, we know fuck all about Jake Haener on the field.
Is that worth a $4 million savings? Or would you? Because that's probably what it's going to be. If you pay Jameis, you gotta pay Jameis $4 million to be a backup. So it's $3 million of cap savings, $3.5 million of cap savings. Well, is that worth rolling the dice with Jake Haener?
If they cut him before June 1st, the dead money is 10.6. But the cap savings is just over $6 million. Now, if they cut him after June 1st, the dead money is 3.3 million, and the cap saving is 1.2.
That's so they did something to Jameis. They redid Jameis's contract to make it more better. He's gone. I think
so. I guess it's if the conventional wisdom. And it's conventional because it mostly holds true, is if your starter gets injured, you're screwed anyway.
Yeah.
So I get that. Now, Jameis, the Saints were in those games when Jameis was playing. The Saints had opportunities to either hold on and win or to get a tie, to tie a game and keep going and try to get a win. Do I think that would have happened with Jake Haener or some kid drafted in the 6th round or whatever, straight out of college? No. I think Jameis has that just enough quality that you could see, the team's not going to just suddenly shit the bed. But
it kind of did against the Packers.
That's fair.
Do you think?
But like you said, is it worth $4 million? Is it worth $4 million? And
I don't know. It's a hard call because
know.
Dennis Allen's coaching for his job, right? And if you're Dennis Allen and you're saying, what if the Saints start out 7-2 and Derek Carr gets injured, but he's not out for the year, so your season's not torpedoed, but Derek Carr's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks, and I got to have a quarterback for 4 weeks. Like, do I want Jameis? Do I want Jake Haener? Like,
that was a great screen freeze for you right there. Perfect.
He might throw 2 touchdowns. He might do both in the span of a half, but I want the veteran guy. Like that. But I'm just saying, I think there's a very real possibility that Jameis isn't going to be back, and the Saints look at it as like, hey, Jameis,
I don't believe he's going to be back.
You had 3 chances and the backup to play, and you didn't get it done. But here's my question to you: do you think they're going to go because if they go veteran, then it's kind of like they'll have to pay him between $2 and $4 million, and you wouldn't save any money. You could have just kept Jameis. So I feel like if they move on from Jameis, which I think they're going to do, I think it's very, very, very likely that Jake Haener is the backup quarterback. And I don't know how to feel about that. But I do feel like it's closer to Jameis than a lot of people want to think.
Yeah, me and you were going to agree to disagree on that.
Are you
like
quick thing before we get out of here, Mr. Mock Draft Guy? Are there any quarterbacks this year? How's the quarterback depth? Not the top and not the middle, but like is the bottom like grab bag, dollar store quarterbacks? Are they? Do they have anybody that intrigues you that you're like he's interesting.
Position.
Because honestly, Kevin, I know the Saints. Honestly, I know the Saints traded up to get Jake Haener, but to me, like if the Saints, if they want to draft another quarterback in the 6th, 7th round, like I'm fine with it. Just like keep rolling the dice to try to get the backup quarterback. Like that's fine by me.
So you've got Jordan Travis from Florida State.
Oh, he's the injured guy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's ranked 124, who you could draft and basically redshirt him as a pro for the 1 year to make absolutely sure he recovers and just spends the year learning anyway.
Yeah.
I've been told Joe Milton from Tennessee is not that good, so I will move past him.
Tennessee's offense is really weird and not rudimentary, but they the quarterback doesn't make many reads, doesn't do many things, and he'd have a long learning curve, which I don't know, you could redshirt him too, but that's another.
Yeah.
But I like the Florida State guy though. That's an interesting one to me.
Sam Hartman from Notre Dame, PFF has him ranked 276 overall. The numbers look pretty good for him. He's sort of gone down, like their grading system. Like he's gone down over the past couple of years, but he's started.
Yeah.
He's started this whole time. He's played fairly well. Like he seems like a competent guy.
Yeah, and they like the commitment.
You're talking like take a flyer on a guy.
Yeah,
right?
like I just feel like even though they traded up for Haener, he's still just a 4th round quarterback. Like you have committed, you're not committed to him. Like go get let him battle it out. Like yes, Ian Book failed, and yes, like all these quarterbacks the Saints have drafted to fail, but like it to me. You're probably not going to hit on a Purdy, but you might hit on a Chase Daniel, right? That the Saints had, who was a backup for his career. He's legend at the bank, made like $40-something million. You might find one of those guys that you feel good about being a backup quarterback. So like draft a guy later and let him battle it out with Jake Haener. One thing that I want to remind people of, and I'm going to throw this name out for backup quarterback because this is a long time ago. But the Saints actually, when the Jets put him up for trade, there wasn't many teams that kicked the tires on him, but it was the Saints actually did. He ended up going to Carolina. I'm talking about Sam Darnold, Kevin. Now, I'm not saying that maybe that was Sean Payton and he liked Darnold and he wanted to bring him in, but that was a guy that the Saints were interested in. Now, granted, Carolina ended up giving like a 2 and a 4 for Sam Darnold, and maybe it ended up being even more than that. Like the Saints wanted to like, hey, you want to trade Sam Darnold? We'll give you like a 7th. Like the Saints were only interested in him in like for pennies on the dollar, right? They didn't want to give a good asset. But now that he's bounced around a bunch and he's a free agent, and Kevin, he played in the Kubiak system, the Shanahan system last year. Like, might be the guy. Can like show you how you're supposed to run the offense, or maybe since he's not so good, he can show you what not to do in the offense. Just throwing out Sam Darnold as a backup quarterback on this Friday.
I would prefer not to think about that, but okay.
Well, any final? We got like 2 minutes, then we got to go. But any final thoughts? Do you think the extra cap space that the Saints are getting, because the cap was a record number, do you think that makes it a possibility that free agency for the Saints, it might be a little bit more interesting than we originally thought? Like they might do a little more. I'm not saying they go crazy. I'm just saying it might be a little bit more interesting than we originally thought.
I want to see what they do. I want to see if how they renegotiate or adjust some of these other contracts. Like it looks good now. Like it looks really good now. But I want to see him tackle a couple of more deals. I'm not saying they have to get all the way back to 0, but if I see 1 or 2 more deals and that cap number drops, like takes a big chunk again, I'll feel a hell of a whole lot better about them trying to make a move in free agent.
Yeah. We'll see. Like that's the thing. Like, are they? I get what you're saying. Like, are they? What's that?
Like the trend of it.
Yeah. Well, like you have to be cap compliant by a certain time, right? But if they go into free agency, day one of free agency, and they're $100,000 under the cap, then hey, they're probably not going to do anything. But if they do a bunch of moves in the next couple of weeks, like you say, and they go into free agency with $10 million under the cap, well, with $10 million, we know Kai and Mickey can do whatever the hell they want. So that would be the interesting thing. So, guys, thanks for listening to us. Thanks for finding us wherever you do. If you become a patron, so Thomas, the finest meats and cheeses, custom in Poland, join our community. We're having a great time. So thanks to Kevin. Thanks to Thomas for running the show back in Poland. I'm Ralph. Join us next week. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, the bar is closed.